All right, here's my stitching pony or stitching horse that I'll be using. What I've done is I'm gonna start here and make my way in and then around to the other side, so that I can just use one strand and go all the way around, and I don't have to kind of stop in the middle and redo it. If you're doing something with 2 lines of stitching, you may be able to again use kind of one long string, but that's going to be a lot. So what I'm using here is artificial sinew. Whenever I try to figure out how long I should use, I have no idea. I just use a ton of it. Start with 10 feet and then add like a million more. I don't know what to tell you. I usually just kind of eyeball it, but I do, for something this size, I typically use about, 4 arm lengths to do that, because again, with the way that this is stitched up, you're crisscrossing. This is a saddle stitch, okay? So it's better to have more than not. So some of the tools that I'm using here, I've got some little magnets on my little stitching pony there, just to kind of help me out. I also use a couple of needle nose pliers just to kind of help me pull through. Because of the diamond awl that I was using, the little stitches that I made, the holes, it's pretty tight. But I would rather have it a little bit tight, because that leather would help kind of form around where that stitch is, okay? If you're not familiar with stitching, this is not a video on how to stitch. There's quite a few videos out there on how to do that, but just a quick rundown is you basically pull through one hole, and then you take the other string and you pull it back to the exact same hole on the other side. My advice to get nice stitches is always insert it on the same angle, whether you're going over or under one of those strings, okay? And if you start on your left, always start on the left again. Left goes in, right comes out, then left again. Okay, now that you reach up top here, what we're going to do is we want to take that stitch and we want to move it over the top of your seam up here. We don't want to go directly into that stitch area to go back around. What this does is it kind of helps us to reinforce where that cork is going to be going, and we want to make sure that that's nice and tight, because again, we want that to be sealed off so that we don't get any leakage. So I do this about twice. So once around with the left side, once around with the right side, and then we're back to just our normal stitch as we move around here. Now, if you do happen to run out of your sinew halfway through, again, you can add more sinew, and there are stitching ways to do that. If it's not on, somewhere where the cork is, I wouldn't sweat it too much. But that's up to you as to how you want to kind of connect those. Okay, so now that that's all done, what you want to do is, what I've done is a back stitch. So you can see that I stitched it down and then actually stitched it back up, okay? And that kind of keeps everything in place. So now, when you trim this off, take your time. Artificial sinew is actually pretty tough to cut. And if you have a sharp blade, you can easily cut through it though. Depending, if your blade is dull, it's going to be tough to cut through. If it's too sharp, you could slice through it and then slice your little project there, okay? So just take your time. There's no rush in this, okay? See, I almost messed up right there because I let it slip off. Okay, with the artificial sinew, what I usually do is just take a lighter real quick and just kind of burn back that little end, and it'll just kind of melt back in place, and all is well. If I could ever get it to work. One more time. What a doofus. Jeez, this guy here. Okay, so now that we got that, we want to soak this thing in water. It looks good right now, yeah? All right, so usually what I do is I just take a nice little pan, pour in just a little bit of water, and then we just want to soak this thing for a little bit. Some people have said that you can kind of watch it bubble. It'll soak in. I don't watch it. I literally just throw it in there and maybe leave it for 15, 20 minutes. Now I'll come back and I'll check on things, because what I want to do is I want to get this thing soaked inside it and out. And I found that some dyes actually kind of create a barrier, so sometimes it can be kind of tricky for it to actually soak in any water. Okay, so after some time has passed, I've come back out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dowel and kind of open that mouth up. Now don't open that up too much, because you want to wet form that to your cork. There's a lot of different size corks out there. I'm going to use a cork from an old wine bottle. You may carve your own cork, so don't stretch it out. Save that to last. But what I did was I opened it up a little bit, let some water get in there, and that definitely helps to saturate the inside of the leather, and really just both pieces. Okay. All right, it's looking pretty good. Awesome sauce. All right, so now that we have it wet, we need to stuff it, okay? But I remembered I did not put any damn holes up top to put in anything so I can attach a, cordage or whatever to it. So I would recommend doing this punching of a hole when it's dry, because when it's wet, I have discovered it sucks. It is a lot harder to do. But I want to do it now so that whenever I am sealing this thing up, it's already sealed and done. Okay, so you can see I'm actually beating the hell out of this thing as everything shakes and falls off the table. Okay, so I made a mistake. I should have done this way back in like step 7, step 2, honestly. Okay, so if you're watching this and you're like, well, you son of a bitch, just do it before you get it wet. Okay, you can do it here too, it's fine. It's just a lot more work. Okay, so clean it out, clear that thing up. Yeah, this guy made a mistake. Come on, move it on here, guy. All right, nice and pretty. There we go. It's kind of funny because I said, hey, don't worry, it's character. And here I am trying to clean this up. Okay, the next step is we want to fill this and we're going to stretch this out. Okay, so check the next video on how I stretch this out to give it some type of shape.